All right, so here's the article. I don't want to give any names, but you probably find it. White veganism is dangerous. It disregards the fact that the meat and dairy industries are inherently colonial legacies.
Okay, so right away, I don't know what they take the meat and dairy industry to be. If they just mean like the modern incarnation of it, then I guess I'm willing to hear the argument for that, but I'm not currently convinced. If they mean meat and dairy production in general, that's just hilarious. I mean, I don't know what they mean by like colonialism, but like indigenous people, there was meat production in indigenous societies, and presumably they're not going to say that in itself is colonialism. So,
well, which indigenous societies, like the indigenous population of the Americas?
I mean, pick almost any of them, right? There weren't these people weren't like massively.
I think it's important to note that the Americas, they didn't really have many significant domesticated. I think they domesticated a few animals, but like they didn't domesticate like chickens and cows and pigs as the Americans.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I'm asking. Like, I'm not sure what they take meat production to mean.
Yeah,
do they just mean like the modern incarnation?
Yeah, it's not. Well defined.
So, not well defined. I'm not sure what they take that to mean. And even if we like kind of steelman them and say like, okay, they're just talking about the kind of modern Western incarnation, I'd still want the argument for that because I'm not convinced that's inherently colonialist.
Well, this is only the first sentence. Let's see what they.
I know.
let's see what they. Maybe if we read more, we'll see what they mean. It comes charging in on its moral high horse, enforcing its beliefs that veganism is the only way forward.
Okay, so again, like I'm not sure what we mean by enforce. Like, there's no legal enforcement in almost every single case. Like cows, chickens, pigs, sheep, goats. These animals have almost no legal protection, no meaningful legal protection, even for like dogs and cats. I don't know like what the average vegan can do when it comes to like enforcing.
I guess it's like a societal thing that like like dogs and cats, like we elevate them because like we evolved alongside them. In like
over other animals, sure, but like when they say enforce, I don't know what we mean by enforce.
Yeah, do they mean like legally or like just
because that's just not true at all. Socially, I mean like I don't know if that's true either. Like that, because I feel like there are a lot of vegans who are just like, yeah, whatever. Like I don't personally eat meat, but I'm not gonna like go after anyone who does. So that's gonna be kind of like an empirical claim. Like how many are willing to like talk to people about it?
Like this person is being too general. Like all quote unquote white vegans are like enforcing down the beliefs of those.
It's just very vague language. And then moral high horse. Well, it's going to kind of depend on your ethics. On my view, yeah, of course, the veganism is ethically superior.
I always like. I mean, I'm not sure if you'll agree with this, but like I always like whenever like someone asks me like, oh, you think vegans are more ethical than like meat eaters? I'm like, yes. Yes, they are.
There is a little technicality to point out. Like, it could be on the whole that there are some meat eaters who are more ethical than vegans.
Well, yeah.
Because obviously we want to consider general utility, but if we're holding all else constant, right? Then I think, yeah, obviously.
I think it's like if from like a personal standpoint, like for example, let's say you have a person who was born and raised vegan, and a person who and like he's 100% vegan, and you have another person who was born eating meat and fish and shit, but like he's like let's say at the age of like 25, like he's starting to reduce meat consumption. I think in practice the vegan might do less harm, but in principle the person who is reducing their meat consumption at the age of 25 is a better person because
that's actually another slight technicality because it really depends on your ethics. On my view, obviously I'm a utilitarian, so this is something that Singer talks about. Like we have to remember that like assigning blame or praise is also an action, so we should also do that. Yeah. In terms of like how much utility it yields.
Yeah, it's an ethical quandary.
So, like, in your example, you talk about like how like maybe we should praise the person reducing their meat consumption more than the lifelong vegan.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is better.
Well, yeah.
On my view, at least. On my view, I don't know what your ethics are, but on my view, the utilitarian view.
Well, we'll see. Oh shit! I forgot what we're talking about. We're only on the second sentence.
The part. So the only thing is that I guess to kind of wrap up that part, Moral high horse, yeah, on my view, obviously veganism is ethically superior. And then the other part was, what was the other part?
Enforcing its beliefs that vegans is the
Yeah,
only
I don't know what we mean by enforce.
like these are all vaguely defined. It's like, okay, okay, this is like irrelevant, but like it just seems like this person just clacked out an essay in 5 minutes. Just
right. Well, that's Medium, of course they did.
Well, there are some decent articles on here. But
are there? I haven't seen one. But anyway, sorry, continue.
All right. Next sentence. That the white popularization of plant-based consumption is only shifting unethical food production from meat to plants.
Okay, so sorry, can you read that again?
I don't even understand the sentence. Because it's like a semicolon. So let me read it. It comes charging in on its moral high horse, enforcing its beliefs that veganism is the only way forward, overlooking the truth, semicolon, that the white popularization of plant-based consumption is only shifting unethical food production from meat to plants. So I think what this person is saying is like no matter what, meat or plants, it's unethical. I think that's what this person is saying.
So there's two things. So one is what was it? The white. Sorry, please read that first part again. I'm sorry.
The white popularization of plant-based consumption.
That to me implies that
only
among white people, veganism is disproportionately accepted among white people. That's what that sentence implies to me. I'm not sure that that's the case, or plant-based eating or whatever.
Because
it might be the case, but I'm not sure of any evidence supporting it. In fact, I do know that. Oh fuck! You shouldn't quote me on this. You should look this up. There's a Gallup survey that came out in 2018. Kind of giving an overview of vegans and vegetarians in the United States, and I think black people were disproportionately likely to be vegetarian.
But I guess there aren't enough. I don't think there are enough vegans to because usually vegetarians are included in the definition anyway.
Well, they had separate groupings for each. I don't remember but anyways, if you want to say it's like a white thing or whatever, I just want evidence that white people are disproportionately likely to like support and accept plant-based eating, be plant-based eating themselves. I'm not sure that that's the case.
Because I think what this person is saying is that because white people are well, this is I'm talking from like the author's point of view, that since white people tend to be wealthier and more privileged, they have like the money to veganism is more like upper class thing. I mean that's speculation. I'm not entirely sure that that's what this person is getting at.
Can you read that sentence again?
That the white popularization of plant-based consumption is only shifting unethical food production from meat to plants.
White popularization. Okay, so there's actually another meaning that we could. I kind of want to just go. So there's actually another way that we could kind of take this. So the white popularization of plant-based eating. So maybe on the other hand, they're saying that the people who are popularizing this are white people. And again, I'm just not sure that that's the case. I would want to see like some evidence that this is disproportionately white.
I mean, if you ask me, I don't give a fuck if I don't give a fuck. Like, let's say we have 5 billion vegans. I don't give a fuck if they're all black or
that white. Too. Yeah. I mean, there's that point as well. But like, I'm just like, because. Yeah, so I mean, there's the one point that I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not, or at least it's not clear to me what would be wrong with that.
Who joined?
And then there's the other point of, I just don't think what they're saying is actually correct. Like, or at least I'm not convinced. I haven't seen the evidence. So,
Near just joined us. Fish and I are discussing an article that we read on Medium about white veganism. If you're interested.
So, do you want to read the second half of that sentence again? I'm sorry, because we're still focusing. I was still focusing on the first half. Like
this person's writing in vague terms.
Very vague.
I'll read it. The white population of plant-based consumption is only shifting unethical food production from meat to plants. So, hold on. When they say unethical food production, I assume all food production is unethical?
Well, what I take ethical to mean is that it's... So again, it's annoying because they don't really say what they mean by unethical. So I just take that to mean it like there's an equal amount of utility.
Yeah, I guess you can argue from like a consequentialist point of view, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just not convinced of that. Because when you like the production of like bacon, there's the effect on the animal, there's the effect on the worker.
And the environment and the health of the eater.
Yeah. And then when we look, I mean, like, there's probably a lot of unethical food production in the plant sector.
But there's the point is there's far less cruelty in the plant production than the meat production.
Basically, if we want, yeah. So I would just say, like, if we want to say that 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 we're just shifting from meat-based
Meat
to
to plants.
plant-based, and it's equally ethical, then I would just want the argument for that, because I'm not convinced of that.
Yeah, because I
And
think
also,
this.
like, I'd like them to specify what they mean by ethical.
Wait, what part of the article are you on?
We're just on the first
at,
paragraph.
well, yeah, we're
We just got done with the first paragraph. There's like
Yeah,
10 paragraphs.
these types of articles pack so much bullshit, and
Yeah.
you have to
And
spend
it's only
hours.
you know how like on Medium it says like how long it takes to read. This is only a 4-minute read. Yeah, I think we've been here for like 15 minutes, and we're only done with the first paragraph.
Oh my
Yeah, so
God.
sorry, continue. So that's all I have to say about that. I don't know, do you have anything else to say about that?
I actually want to bring up, they could be arguing from like a deontological standpoint, because that's usually how these people are. That's the ethical point of view these people tend to argue from.
I think that's...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish up.
I can't say for sure, but that's my guess.
I think that's far too charitable. I don't think these people have thought about this kind of shit for more than half a second, most of them.
They probably never even heard the term deontology.
Probably not.
Anyway.
So, I'm
Moving
sorry.
on. Ready to
Yeah,
move on?
moving on.
Nira, if you want, feel free to add anything.
Okay, so sentences. All right. It disregards the fact that the meat and dairy industries are inherently colonial legacies. Are you fucking? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we like, that's another like vague term. Like, I just don't know what they take that to mean. Do they mean,
Even, like,
on the one hand, do they mean just meat production? Because that itself doesn't seem colonialist. Do they mean the current incarnation of it? That I guess I'd be willing to hear an argument for, but I'm not currently.
Like,
I mean, they're making the claim that veganism, like white veganism, disregard. I don't know. That's just such a loaded statement that they have
Yeah.
absolutely no
Yeah,
evidence for. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
So yeah,
Can they even describe what white veganism is in this article?
no, probably not. Well, maybe.
I don't know.
Let's find out.
We're
Let's find
only on
out.
the first paragraph, dude.
Yeah, let's find out. Maybe they can. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the second paragraph here. Reading.
Yep.
White veganism fights the meat industry, a colonial legacy, and I will explain why.
Wait, sorry. Can you? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think the author's starting to get at it. White veganism fights the meat industry, a colonial legacy, and I will explain why. With the industrial
Sorry. Did I hear this correctly? White veganism fights the meat industry, a colonial legacy?
Yeah,
Okay.
Wait, that is the worst written sentence ever. Are they saying that are they saying that the legacy of white veganism is a colonial legacy?
White veganism fights the meat industry, a colloquial legacy, and I will explain why.
What?
Okay,
Wait, I don't even know what they're saying. That's the worst written sentence ever.
I'm not even sure if this person even supports veganism.
Hold on, I need to see
dissect this. Let me dissect this. So, are they trying to say that the meat industry is originally the fault of white people?
Hold on, I gotta pull this article up. I don't even know what the fuck
this is the
what are they
weirdest,
saying? That is the worst fucking sentence I've ever heard in my entire life. Can you link me that article again?
Sure. I mean, when they say the industrialization of plants have been industrial for decades now. Especially with the rise of GM technology and industry and stuff like that.
I just have to see that sentence. That is the worst sentence.
Okay.
I can't tell if this person is even supporting veganism or not.
Veganism fights the meat industry, a colonial legacy.
What do they mean by that sentence?
I don't know. So there's two kind of interpretations. One is that white veganism fighting the meat industry is itself a colonial legacy, and the other interpretation is that the meat industry is a colonial legacy. So I guess I'd be open to the second one. I guess I'd be open to both. I would just want the arguments for both.
You want to try seeing what else you can pick across apart from that? Or you want to keep going?
That's all I got to say. I don't know what you two have to say.
I'm wondering if they're implying that that's a bad thing or a good thing. I don't understand what the point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think generally colonialism is probably not a good thing. So if
Yeah,
we're fighting
I mean,
against it, that's probably a good thing. Yeah,
I think the
probably.
fact that animal agriculture is a colonialist industry is just irrelevant. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it
should
might be
say
relevant. Well,
it's like an appeal to tradition thing that like it was bad in the past, therefore that's why it's bad now.
but Near, I'm not even sure that they're actually saying that. I'm not even sure that's actually what they're saying.
Let's
It's
see
not
what
clear
they.
to me.
Let's. I mean, dude, we're only on the second paragraph. We have to like see what else.
Okay, yeah,
I'm sorry.
let's not get bogged down. Just
I'm sorry.
Let's keep going.
I'm pretty sure anyone listening is probably getting bored already.
Sure.
As Aaron White writes for Afropunk, this is quoting now. What's so frustrating about too many animal-free platforms is the bizarre prioritization of animal welfare over that of the humans who produce the food.
Sorry, did they say animal-free platforms?
To unpack there. What was that?
Hold on, did they say animal-free platforms?
Animal-free, so I assume they mean like meat-free alternatives.
Okay, I don't know what the...
There is a lot to take apart here. If you want to go...
All right, so read that again.
What's so frustrating about too many animal-free platforms is the bizarre prioritization of animal welfare over that of the humans who produce the food.
Okay, so that's not clear to me at all that that's what's happening. So I think that if you ask a lot of vegans, they're going to say, and this is a position that I would, I guess, hesitantly accept myself. They're going to defend the sentience hierarchy, right? The idea that actually a human life is more important
than a pig.
One thing that I will say is, it's possible.
Hello, the Joy. Let me just fill Joy.
So the prioritization of animal welfare over the welfare of the humans. Now, I think we need to establish, it's very frustrating because it's not clear to me like what their ethics are.
I mean, you have to remember that like working in a slaughterhouse is like one of the worst jobs in the world, like hands down.
Yeah. So there's multiple points there. So one is that by avoiding meat consumption, you actually are boycotting a lot of industries that treat workers like shit. So that's one point to make. Another point is there's a certain amount of utility that we'll get out of boycotting, out of fighting for animal rights, and there's a certain amount of utility that we will get out of fighting for human rights.
Yeah.
And it's possible that more utility is actually created. In fact, this is my intuition, that more utility is created by focusing on things like veganism.
Yeah, because
over things like worker rights in the United States.
Because not only this aside from slaughterhouse being the worst jobs in the world, you got to remember that so many issues, like global issues, can be traced back to animal agriculture, particularly climate change. So it's a quote I like. Anti-vegan is anti-human. That's probably going to be the title of my next video, by the way.
Sure.
So
okay. Yeah. Can I?
So it's just just real quick to kind of wrap up what I was saying. It might actually be the case that because you have to remember, the worst treated workers are not treated as badly as the worst treated animals.
Yeah.
So it might actually be that it is more important on a utilitarian view to focus on animal rights than human rights, especially worker rights in the global north. But then I guess if they have a problem with that, I guess I just want to know what the problem is. And there's one final point.
Sure.
That's also an empirical claim, so it's not actually clear to me. Wait, sorry, what was the actual sentence?
What's so frustrating about too many animal-free platforms is the bizarre prioritization of animal welfare over that of the humans who produce the food.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what too many means.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of you should get the best of both worlds, maximize, minimize animal suffering, minimize human suffering, and the best way to do that is just to make plant-based food. No animals have to suffer, and humans don't. I mean, no one has to work in a goddamn slaughterhouse.
Yeah. Well, so I guess for me, I'm just curious. I just would want to know the number because it's also not clear to me that a lot of people are prioritizing.
I think your brain is melting because these things are these sentences
just so fucking stupid. Yeah. Sorry, Near, you had something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's an empirical claim.
Also, I'm gonna mute real quick. I got to check out. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah, they're basically making an empirical claim on this sentence, and they don't have any evidence that these like they haven't presented any evidence so far that these companies are actually caring about animal lives more than human lives.
Like
So,
I think this the person who this that this person is quoting is they think that vegans are only concerned with animals and we don't give a fuck about humans, when nothing could be further from the truth, at least amongst more science and ethical based organizations.
I just wanted to say I'm reading the article so far. So just remember, keep in mind it's Medium. I wouldn't take Medium very seriously because it's not like this is like some kind of prestigious place where you have to have credentials to post. Like I could post a Medium article if I wanted, but to top it off, this is really bad. It's bad on all counts, and it's actually just dishonest, right? Yeah, one of their starting points is actually a point that any leftist would use against anybody who's saying prioritize blank, right?
Yeah, that's what we're assuming.
Oh no, here it is. It's really sad that Afropunk would write this apparently. But
I don't know who Afropunk is.
So Afropunk is like a news platform, basically. Well, it's also like a festival. Anyway, but they're like one and the same. It's like a thing. I don't know how to call it, but so they write, what's so frustrating about too many animal-free platforms is the bizarre prioritization of animal welfare over the humans who produce the food.
It's like workers' rights.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which is like I mean they probably don't realize it because they're like brain dead when they're saying this, right? No, I mean it's true. Like they're looking for a reason to say veganism bad. But the idea is that they're saying well how would dude, it's like an animal. I don't understand. It's like there's a group, right, that's talking about literally animal welfare, or rather like the suffering of animals, the abolition of animal agriculture, right? And they're mad that those groups are yeah, of course they are, because that's what their group is about, right? There are other groups for anti-racism and stuff like that, right? Or pro workers' rights, and you can be in both of those groups. One just happens to be a platform for that. So it's really dumb. It's like, I don't know, they're doing that thing when they say prioritizing. It's actually a really big problem. Because when you say like when they do they're prioritizing this, yeah, that's so what? You can care about more than one thing.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Fish earlier, how just because there's so many issues out there, and someone gets mad at you for not the current social movement that's going on, someone gets mad at me for not talking about that. Well, I'm more concerned, I'm sure that's important, but I'm more concerned with veganism and environmentalism, because not only are those really big issues that are gonna screw us over eventually and are screwing us over right now, but I'm just more well educated in those issues, which is why I focus more on them.
Yeah, I think that you touched on something important, because, and again, it just goes back to the really vague language that they use. But there's kind of two instances of prioritization. One is just devoting more time and energy into something, and then another another way we could kind of visualize prioritization is assigning more moral priority to something.
Yeah.
And in the latter case, it's just not clear to me that that's actually happening. So.
And
well, the thing is, right, if you say more moral priority, people who write these kind of articles, they take that to be a reductio on you, if it's moral priority.
Well, first, I mean, I'm not sure that vegans are actually doing this, and then second of all, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the problem is. If on the utilitarian view, if there's more suffering in animal agriculture than there is in farms or factories, then the priority would be on the animal agriculture.
Oh no. Yeah, they're inconsistent. Trust me. No matter, I'm not saying. No, you're right. Absolutely right. Yeah, they're inconsistent no matter how you cut it. Right. They what non-vegan. This is why so this really sucks because I've been a leftist for a decade. Right. Lately, I'm not really going by any terms right now, and I'm not ascribing any leftist political beliefs at the moment. But one thing, right, is it's really shameful, actually, right? So lefties in general, people in general, are pretty fucking dishonest, right? But the lefties aren't. They're not this special breed of honest people. But with lefties, their common response to, well, not their common response. Sorry, what they like to do, right, is they like to go, oh, so you care more about animals than people, and then just call it a day.
Oh yeah.
And they also like to do the thing that they're constantly calling people out on, which is to say, like, you'll have someone say, "Oh, you're prioritizing this. I just think there are more important issues," right? And then of course what they always say, like literally word for word, you can do more than one thing, right? So like it's just dishonest. I mean, I don't know what else to call it aside from dishonest. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, oh yeah, Joy, one more thing. I just wanted to, like, before anyone else says anything, I know you said, like, this is medium, it's not an academic thing, but the thing is, like, this, like, I Googled white veganism, this was, like, one of the first results. So, like, the fact that, like, people will, like, this can be very harmful towards, like, veganism as a movement. So, like, that's why I think it's still important to address it, even though the people making these arguments are, like, not very, intelligent.
Yeah, this is what annoys me so much about, like, some, like, these, like, Peter Coffin types, or, I don't know, like, you understand that you have okay, maybe not so much this medium writer, but in a lot of these cases, these are people with massive platforms introducing people to the issues of veganism. Yeah, so when some fucking lefty sees like somebody like, fucking Mexi use the term white. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't say Mexi. Maybe Mexi doesn't actually say this.
Yeah, Mexi's actually pretty good about her veganism takes, I think.
Yeah, because this article
that's a topic for another day. But the point is, maybe she doesn't say things like white veganism, but if a lefty sees somebody saying that and then they Google white veganism and the first thing that comes up is this fucking that just annoys the fuck out of me. That's one thing that just annoys. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. We should probably get back to the article unless somebody else has something to say.
No, you're right. But just for future reference, right? If someone ever like pulls that on you, right? Like if someone ever pulls this article up on you, this is what's wrong with veganism. First thing, what I would honestly suggest doing from the get-go is start off by discrediting it before you actually address the points. Because you want people who are like, because the thing is, like, I hate Medium, like I hate it a lot, and the reason I hate it is because it looks like a news platform, right?
Oh yeah,
it looks like it has the aesthetic of like a well vetted like news resource, right? Not just something where anybody can post whatever they want.
It's like an open blog.
Yeah, it's literally an open blog. But like when people share these posts on like social media, a lot of them seem to be under the impression, and this is
that it's actually news.
Yeah, they think this is like a vetted news source. That there's like a lot of like vetting that's gone into this and fact checking, but it's not. It's literally just it may as well just be a Wikipedia article. Like
it does look like.
Well, yeah. To be fair, I shouldn't say it that way because I don't discredit Wikipedia articles since a lot of them also have citations.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't just discredit Medium as a whole for that. And I'm not discrediting Medium. I'm just upset that people use Medium to do things like this and that they're aware of like. They're aware of like the fact that it looks like I don't know how to say news to most. Yeah, well, yeah, it's like people give like like the popular news sources some kind of level of trust, right? Because they figure that there's like a lot of fact checking that goes into the and they have a reputation and they've been around for blah blah blah, right? And that's not to say that new news people can't come up. It's just that not like there's no accountability on Medium whatsoever.
Oh yeah,
it's like there's just
I think
and I think it's bad that people like abuse that platform to like act like they have some kind of official take on something. It's weird.
Well, yeah, the difference between this and Wikipedia is that like when Wikipedia, at least like when it comes to important things like history and science, those
they have moderation.
Yeah, the articles on history and science are like 99% of the time, like beyond a shadow of doubt, you can trust them. But ones on like current events are where the details aren't really sorted out, or like celebrities or pop culture, those are less reliable because there aren't really any experts to like who actually care to correct it or anything like that. But no one gives a fuck about journalistic integrity on fucking Medium. It's like because like a lot of it's just conjecture and opinion pieces.
Oh man, this is actually getting worse, right? So like. I skimmed over a little bit just now, and
we're only on the second paragraph.
Point, being a white vegan, it's like every paragraph is bad. Being a white, like
you're shaming me.
Being a white vegan is practically I'm not white, but it's just this is dumb, right? Like in fact, at this point, being a white vegan is practically intrinsically racist.
Yeah. Let's go in order.
Well, yeah, let's go in order. Let's go back.
So like,
sorry, that was a massive fucking tangent.
You guys want to
because The great thing about lefties, right, is that they're actually really easy to poke at, right? Because when they say things like this, right, they're gonna say that. No, actually, if you don't mind, can I read that paragraph real quick?
Yeah,
which one? Which one? The second paragraph?
No, it's the third, I think.
Well, we didn't get to that one, but if you want to like move on to it, sure, you be my guest.
So you guys were just starting. Okay.
Yeah.
We can. Well, I guess it's up to you, Red. If you want to jump around, I don't care.
I mean, if you guys have anything else to say about the first two paragraphs, I mean.
No, I think you read them all, right?
Well, yeah, right. You guys have anything else to say, or can I move on to the third?
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, we spent like 20 minutes on the first two paragraphs.
If anyone listening is just gonna get bored.
The language is just so fucking vague, and it's just not clear. Yeah.
They're vague and they're also loaded statements.
Yeah, they pack in so many assumptions. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, go to that passage.
Joy, you want to?
It says, so it ends on saying, yeah, the second paragraph ends on what's so frustrating about too many animal-free platforms is the bizarre it's just really weird, the bizarre prioritization of animal welfare over the humans who produce the food. Like, for one, I really want to see a case where that's actually what's going on,
right?
Because that's going to segue into the bigger point about the third paragraph, which I'm going to read right now. So it says, only it is more bizarre. Only it is more than bizarre. It is outright racist. In fact, at this point, let me just read the whole thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
In fact, at this point, being a white vegan is practically intrinsically racist. White vegans blatantly care very little. I mean, show proof about the working conditions of farmer from the global south or immigrant farmers working in the global north, a problematic term in and of itself. While some white vegans put in the effort to purchase only. Oh, wait, hold on. No, it's all bad, but let's go over it. Let's go over it after.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
While some white vegans put in the effort to purchase only locally produced goods from independent farmers, there is no general. Yeah, no, I know we're gonna get to that. There is no general conversation regarding race and the colonial nature of plant-based production surrounding white eco warriors campaigns en masse. So there's a
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
did they say the term global south was problematic?
The global north, I think.
I mean, that's the same. Like,
honestly, that's not even really like a major point. I mean, it might be silly, but like I'm not even like I think there are way more glaring. There are like way more glaring issues.
Yeah, we can jump
into
it.
I
just like not only is that kind of like the standard academic term, that's like the standard lefty term. That's like what you hear a lefty say. Like they don't talk about like the first world or the third world. They talk about like the global north and the global south. Like, what the fuck is the problem with those statements? Sorry. Anyways, yeah, that's just a minor nitpick.
No, yeah. To me, like the bigger ones in this paragraph are like, okay, so it's just making claims, right? I mean, again, this is supposed to be a news. Well, not news. I guess it's not a news source. It just looks like one. But like someone is literally, it's just an opinion piece. Someone goes, white vegans blatantly care, like, oh, they just go around not caring about, like, hating almost, like just fucking hating workers or something.
Yeah, like,
which again is like, I mean, can you just provide proof?
Let me check your citations.
What do they say exactly? I forgot. That was a lot.
It says white vegans blatantly care very little about the working conditions of farmers from the global south or immigrant farmers working in global north. I mean, this is dumb, right? I think if anything, this is just most people probably, but not even then, right? Like, it's not that most people don't care, right? It's not like most people just don't have any like meaningful way to be like attached to those kinds of issues because they like we can't just like force other countries to change their laws.
Yeah,
kind of deal.
Okay. Just imagine for a second that I replace the word white in that sentence with black and then say the same thing.
Oh man,
dude!
Oh my fucking
man! No, man! It's fucking it's what is it? The racism is power plus prejudice or something like that.
Yeah, but even then, it's like this is really dumb too, right? Because like I don't put it this way, right? Let's say what they're saying about vegans was even true, right? About white vegans. Like, let's say this thing about not caring about workers in the South, right? And like Hispanic people, all this kind of stuff, right? Let's say all of that is true, right? I just fail to see, right? How if this person even knows vegans, right? How this is like some kind of exclusively white issue. Like, non-white vegans in general are just like mega woke about the working conditions of other people.
Careful with that, because the move they might make is to say like, oh, I'm not just talking about white people who are vegan. I'm talking about like whiteness as a mindset or something like that.
Yeah, they
have to fucking define that first.
Well, no. See, then there's a problem, right? Then they actually have to just tell us what the fuck that means.
Right, of
this
course.
Whole thing is talking about white veganism, and it's like, well, who?
It's got to be.
Who even knows what you're talking about?
Yeah, so which we still don't have a definition of. Yeah.
Because I want to know, can a black person be a white vegan?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
we're like 3 paragraphs into this article, and they still don't.
It's just really bad. It's just really bad. Like, this person was clearly motivated to be an asshole. So
obviously politically motivated.
Yeah. So, but there are some like the real glaring problem though for me, right, is this one at the end. While some white vegans put in the effort to purchase only locally produced goods from independent farmers, right? There's like an issue here about what happens when we don't support the economies of all these poor people countries that you're talking about, where they have really shitty working conditions. Like, for just like they're going to make the argument for slaughterhouse workers here that it's one of the only jobs they can get, the same argument could be made for these migrant workers, etc., or immigrant workers as well.
Well,
it's literally
and also
like, these are some of the only jobs they have, and like, it's literally like, how else are they going to get money in this situation? And ultimately, just on a quick point, right? What most of these people will say is that, like, oh, well, this is why you should be fighting for communism ultimately, right? It doesn't actually, it does nothing to actually address the problem of now, right? And the problem of now is they're saying that, we're contributing to these like industries, right? And then its proposed solution is to buy local.
Yeah.
What?
Fish. Fish.
Yeah, about that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Red.
I'll be quick because I really want to say this because
I've talked a lot. You guys can cut me off whenever.
I mean, Joey's talking a lot, but like he's offering a lot, so I'm not complaining. I was gonna say, like, we always people talk about like Nike, like they're bad because like the conditions in like like sweatshops in China, they're terrible. Like, yeah, don't like, they're not great. Are their lives awesome? No, but like not buying from them is not gonna help. What are they gonna do? That'll show them. But like they're gonna lose those jobs that they need. They clamor for these jobs. In Indonesia, when most people were farmers, when they introduced they introduced sweatshops over there, people waited in line to get jobs over there because working on a farm was so shit.
Yeah, it was just all subsistence farming. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. You can go. I forgot what I was going to say.
Can I just say something? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, sorry. The only thing I was going to say, go ahead.
Okay.
Fight.
Basically, I'm just trying to say.
Yeah.
That,
So all I want to say, no.
Yeah, buying local. That's literally the biggest fucking platitude I've ever heard. Everybody says it. They don't practice it. And they just always inject it into these types of conversations, and they don't even know what it means half the time.
That's actually what I was going to say. So, like, a lot of the times that when people, those viral tweets or whatever about, like, how, vegans, this is proof your food isn't cruelty-free. A lot of what they're retweeting is, like, farmers who, like, are working, like, migrant laborers who are working in, like, California. So, like, if somebody lives in California, it's not clear to me how they're helping by buying vegetables from like these local farms. Is that actually solving the problem? Like if migrant labor is this big, like underpaid workers or whatever is this big problem. I don't know how buying local necessarily solves that issue.
You could just be funding local farms that do the same exploitation.
Or like if I buy like local dairy, like a lot of times like dairy is produced by like immigrants and like I don't know. It's just
really weird. Remember, kids, the closer to you it is, the more ethical it is.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to say, right, is that like, when you do that, right, you have a better idea of like the regulations and stuff that they're going to be working under.
That's
so like
possible, but
no, it's a bad argument either way. It's but I just wanted to say real quick that Near actually like he hit. I think he touched on something that's really like profound too, right? Like chances are, I bet you money, right now, right? Yeah. The person who's talking about buying local, right? They're not someone who buys local. They're literally someone who's saying they're talking about buying local as like some kind of mental gymnastic way to say, oh, well, there's a way that you could be doing better when it comes to humans. When it comes to them, I'm not going to do that, right? Well, that's because I'm not concerned about the food products because it's all unethical. But since you guys are concerned about the ethics of where your food comes from, well, why don't you do this? Oh, so you're prioritizing animals over humans, and where which is funny, right? Because they're saying that these vegans, they don't care, they don't give a shit about the people, right? Because they're not buying local source. But then what does it say about like most of the people that just don't buy local that they're accusing them of? Is this so? If people, right, like if people aren't buying local, just in general, right? Like if anybody is just not buying local, like is that them? Like does it follow from that they just don't care about working conditions?
That's what they assume, I suppose.
Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the big thing for me is I just would want to hear the argument that like buying local is actually more ethical, because I'm just not convinced of it.
Yeah, exactly, right. Because you want to know, what do they mean by like ethical, right? Because
that's a problem we established like right at the beginning of this article. I have no fucking idea what they mean by ethical.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, right? No. It's really clear, right? Like so they're either going to be like, when they're saying ethical, they're either most likely they're going to be like a preference utilitarian, or like a well-being utilitarian.
I'm going to say the same thing I said to Red. I think you're being way too charitable. I don't think these people have thought about this for more than 2 seconds.
They probably don't.
I mean, you're probably right. Like the word ethical is just probably some throw around word for them, because to them, right, it's just this matter of fact that labor is stolen from the workers, exploitation. So, and because no one really chooses their jobs in a meaningful way, because they're all coerced.
Which by the way, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off. Which, by the way, I will say, I actually agree with for the most part. I'm a lefty. Just to clear the air here.
I honestly don't think I agree with that anymore. But
okay, that's another topic then.
Yeah. But I was a lefty of like 10 years. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure on my stance on that right now. But but even then, right? Like even if you just grant them that, right? When we talk about it again, yeah, it's like that's all they're saying, right? Like that's all they tend to say. Well, the products of like the product of all labor is pretty much always unethical, because there's someone who's like stealing most of that. Most of the produce generated by the labor. So like all they're doing there is it's really shitty, and it's just really like slimy, right? They're just making like a big blanket statement on like the fact that they think that our our modes of production are like inherently unethical. But even then, right, like unless they actually hold to some kind of like ethical standard where we can say like, I mean, like you might even say there's no ethical consumption. Like let's pretend that that's the case, right? No ethical consumption under capitalism. Okay. So I at that point I just ask, well, certainly there are more ethical consuming habits than other ones, right? Like put it this way, if you say there's no ethical consumption under capitalism as a blanket statement to try to like dissuade anybody from ever purchasing more ethically, then you're going to have to concede something like, okay, so buying a child bride is basically just as ethical as purchasing like a potato that you got from like Mexico or something.
Yeah, well, one thing we should to like Steelman, we should, and actually I just think this is correct anyways, we should distinguish between like production and consumption, because it may be like maybe we have like there are like 3 ways to produce something, like A, B, and C, but maybe like a consumer only has access to like B and C, and maybe it turns out that A is actually the best way to produce something, but the consumer only has access to B and C. So in that case, I'm like a utilitarian view or whatever. The ethical consumption decision there would be whatever does the less harm between B and C, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or whatever generates the most well-being. Right.
Yeah. So it could be that like every mode of like it could be that like all commodities produced under capitalism ultimately decrease utility. But it could also be that
I don't even want to. I think that's actually. I think you're actually assuming a little bit there, right? Because when they say there's no ethical consumption, they're not even saying commodities, right? I mean, at that point,
did I say
they're not bringing up
if I said
commodities.
Consumption, I meant production. Because I think we need to distinguish between the two.
Oh no, yeah, no, I hear you. But the reason I said that is because like people sometimes forget that like services rendered aren't commodities. But they fall victim to the same thing about the expropriation.
It's been a while since I've read my Marx, so I'm not sure if that would count as a commodity or not.
No, it wouldn't. That's the thing.
Maybe not.
Most people talk about commodities as like I guess I'll pull a better definition later, but it's typically like reproducible items kind of thing.
Okay.
It's like
Um, yeah. That's the reason I'm saying that like a service rendered wouldn't be the same thing as like a commodity. But that's the only reason I'm saying that, 'cause I feel like if anything, you're actually. I mean, I feel like that'd probably even be a slightly better case for that, maybe, but not by much.
Anyways, yeah, we're getting off on a bit of a tangent, so I don't know if
Oh,
anyone
but
else.
yeah, right. So yeah,
Anything-
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Anything else, or you want to go on?
Sounded
Oh
like
yeah, I was gonna try and make an argument for why buying local could be more ethical, which is basically just workers have to take less large quantities of food over less distance, I guess.
Yeah, it's an environmental argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
but
even
actually,
then though,
here though, because like, what about something like a banana? So, for instance, if I tried to produce like bananas locally in Wisconsin, it would probably be like I imagine maybe this isn't the case, but I could easily see like that requiring more energy than shipping them from Brazil or whatever, wherever the fuck they grow bananas. Because like I imagine to like grow bananas in Wisconsin, you'd have to build like greenhouses and heat them, and so it might not actually be the case that local is always better for the environment either.
But like you're granting that, like, you know, like an environmental argument, but this person does not seem to be arguing from an environment.
No, that's what I was just gonna say. Their argument has nothing to do with environment. It has to do with workers' rights. So like that's not even a point they're making anyway.
That too. Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to be charitable and assume, like, you know, but like this is a stretch, of course, that, like, you know, since climate change is mostly going to affect the global south, but like this person, if that is the argument, this person's not making that clear at all.
Well, I was just trying to make the argument that would be easier on the worker if they had to take it over a smaller amount of distance.
Oh, well, not really, right?
No,
because
that's not true.
They're subject to wage labor, right? So they get paid for that time. So
they need the 40 hours or whatever it is, regardless. So
yeah. So that I wouldn't say that would be the way to go. But and one last thing, just something like if you're ever talking to a lefty who's like this, right? This is one thing you can actually just like throw in their fucking face about like purchasing local, right? So when you talk about fair trade and local, you should, like, if you're using the leftist lens, one thing you could respond to them with is, well, no, right? Because at this point, you're actually creating a privilege. Well, there's a privilege that exists when you live in the US and you're able to produce food, right? Or when you're like a fair trade business, right? And then what you want to say is, oh, well, that's just you're like perpetuating privilege by not even letting these people in these other countries or migrant workers or whatever, right? You're not even giving them the opportunity to make money off of you because you only buy from people who are privileged enough to have been living in the US to produce their food, or people who are able to meet fair trade standards. Where that's mostly, well, I guess it's not the case in a lot of places. So it's like you're actually, in a way, like you are discriminating against like the people who are like working for less, who need to make that money to survive, in favor of like someone who's already in the US, for example, doing well.
So anyone else want to add anything? Because I think we've like demolished that like into fucking quarks.
It's funny whenever you read it, you'll read a sentence, and not only will we debunk that sentence, go on and
debunk that one. Like, you know, it debunks like everything else around it.
It's because it's just so fundamentally wrong.
It's fractal wrongness.
Yeah.
All of the we just unpack everything and we destroy everything. Like it's just they load so much shit into this article that you have to
destroy with facts and logic.
Yeah. Anyways, I let's go on to the next paragraph.
All right, I'll do it. Indigenous farms and farmers, of course, again, Joy, near
always the indigenous argument every single time.
All right, let me say it. All right. Indigenous farms and farmers the world over are now being exploited for foods they once produced and consumed moderately, as per their sacred agreements with their lands. Anything to say?
Sorry, read that again.
Indigenous farms and farmers the world over are now being exploited for foods they once produced and consumed moderately, as per their sacred agreements with their lands.
I don't even know what they're trying to say there.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. What they're saying? No, it's really dumb. It's really dumb. So leftists do this all the time for Mexico and avocados, right? The idea is basically that, oh, well, that's like their local food. That's like a staple for them, right? As if like Mexicans need to be able to have access to very specific foods at all times. Like it's gonna Like it's like an abomination to Mexican culture to tell them. Oh, and you know what's even funnier about this, right? Like,
Is
dude,
that what they're
look,
saying? It's not.
no, it is, it is.
At all.
But what's even funnier about this, right, is that like, dude, okay, I'm pretty sure Mexico owns Mexican land, right? And I'm pretty sure that like in the places where avocados are grown, there was some kind of deal that was like, yeah, you know what? It makes more sense to sell them to the U.S. because it's more profitable, and that profit generates, it basically generates more product for Mexico. So it actually might just be more valuable to Mexicans to sell the avocados instead of keeping them because there's more to be gained, etc.
Yeah, surplus, so they have to give it to other people if they want to make like
Well, yeah, but they're saying that it's becoming like, oh, because they're selling them in the U.S. for a higher price. It brings up the price over there, so it makes it harder for them to buy the avocados. But dude, like, I just don't think this is an argument, right? This is just going like, oh, like Mexicans have like an avocado right, like it's their natural right to have avocados all the time. Like what? Like I just I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me.
I'll take your word for it on that because
Peru and quinoa. Sorry, go for it.
No, I'll take your word on that because I'm not convinced that I don't even know what the fuck they're saying. Honestly, I'll take your word for it.
No. See, like I promise you, because I've actually had this discussion before in an anarcho-communist like discussion group where like with 10,000 people, right? And this is one of these are God forbid I actually debate on there because like the person who was saying it was a mod, so I just would have been banned. But I saw I saw this is like I think this was even before I became vegan. I guess I already knew a lot of the arguments though, and I saw them saying like, "Oh yeah, did you know that like, oh no, here it is. Look, the avocado and the quinoa thing, just like I was saying. It's right there in the next sentence."
I actually thought you read ahead. I think you read ahead. That's why you mentioned it.
Nope, I didn't read ahead.
Okay, so it is in fact what they're trying to say. So yeah, go ahead and read on then.
All right.
Anyone
else want to add anything?
Yeah, no. Do you want to finish your story?
Actually, I don't think I have anything. I think you said everything I was going to say.
Okay, go ahead. Let's continue. Okay, so they are in fact saying what you thought they were saying.
Right. So. Plants like chickpeas, quinoa, avocado, cashews, and coconut are suddenly being mass-produced to meet the demands of corporate supermarkets supplying foods such as hummus, cashew butter, and coconut milk to modern-day Northern Hemisphere consumerists.
Wait, hang on. Can they explain why that's a bad thing? First of all.
Oh no! Look, guess what? It's exactly. Look, if you read the next one, all of this ties in to the exact story I just told. This has a devastating effect on the price of said plants, the welfare of the farmers and inhabitants of the land, and the land itself. Go ahead. So they're saying. Oh, so basically, like avocados and quinoa, etc., cost a lot more money because, believe it or not, you can make more money selling those to the U.S. Basically.
And they're saying the demand is increasing, therefore the price is increasing. And
it's which is dumb because which is literally dumb because it's like well yeah. I mean, thank God there's such a high demand because that demand creates like these job opportunities and like more pay for workers.
Okay, hang on. The demand is increasing, therefore the price is increasing. How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
That's not.
What do you mean?
No. That is how it would work. Yeah.
That is how it works. Yeah.
Wait, why would what?
Yeah, because when you look, if there's high demand, that means that an object is valued more, right? And since everything is like a scarce resource, if people want something even more badly, it means that you can raise the price, and it'll be met.
Yeah, I mean,
that would mean that they would be incentivized to create more supplies, which would
then at that point, then the price would drop if the supply increases, sure.
And that just didn't make any sense to me because
but initially they're correct. Like
initially.
It is possible that the price will stabilize like once the price will drop once the demand once the supply is able to meet the demand. Then of course the price will drop, but so sorry you were going to say something, I think, Joy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hate honestly. You guys got the wrong person to join this. I'm going to talk a lot because this is like a subject that I'm really well too familiar with. As being
the whole point of this discussion was for Red to have something to listen back to when he's writing an article about white veganism on the philosophical vegan forum. So,
Oh, okay. Well, perfect. Then I guess you'll
say a ton.
appreciate my expertise here,
Yes,
Uncle.
absolutely.
It is like, damn, you're talking so much, but in a way that's a good thing because like I'm gonna need a lot of this. So thanks.
Yeah, it's trust me, it's just really bad. So okay, so the thing is, they might be right that it is doing something to the land, right? Um, and then because you're getting all this stuff shipping everywhere across the world, yeah, like a lot of like a lot of oil, electricity, and stuff is being used. Yeah, that's true. Um, but that's just to say that like that's almost just to say that like you shouldn't really. Well, okay, it's also talking about the land. But then that's just saying that there's an environmental issue here, right? So I think you can just immediately discount like the whole thing about like, oh, well, they culturally are used to having avocados. That's stupid. Like, just shut up. Like, well, put it this way. I, I say it that dismissively, right? Because until they provide an argument for why that's like a bad thing, right, and it like makes sense, then I'm just gonna throw it away because
Sounds like
I
you're
don't know
being
why.
racist and colonialist and using a
No,
Western
no, that's what
system.
they. No, no, that's it. They would say this is like a colonizer mindset. That oh, that like, oh, well, what? So you think you should have rights to the avocados and they shouldn't? It's like I don't have rights to the avocados. Like someone there, right? Like they again, and if you want to get into like a conversation about land ownership, which we can do, and that's probably what they want to do. That's fair. We can talk about land ownership, right? But when it comes to like the problem with getting into a conversation about land ownership, right, is that at this point we're just talking about like dismantling and like overthrowing like capitalism as a whole and like the concept of private property, which like if you're for, that's fine, right? But when it comes to like dealing with these problems now, you don't deal with like private property abolition by just like not purchasing products made in Mexico. Like that's just not how that works. So so yeah, like the things that they're saying are bad, they might very well be like bad in like a big picture kind of sense, right? The problem is that they're not actually offering any kind of solutions. Like they're offering like their solution is basically going to be have communism. Like I promise you, this is always where this goes. With every leftist I've ever spoken, this is the kind of stuff I used to say too. It's always the same thing. Oh well, yeah, you have communism, and then they won't have to. And then they don't. It won't have to be a private property thing where like one person owns all their land there because they had enough capital to buy it off, the previous owners of the land, and now they're able to just hire Mexicans, even though like most of that profit's not even going directly to Mexico, right? Again, this is just like a big conversation on like property rights. And again, we can have that conversation, but unless there's anything there that they're going to offer to like unless there's like any kind of solution that they're going to offer, right, that isn't just like literally have communism and like make communism happen like really really soon, then they're not actually addressing the issue, right? Like they're not really doing anything with the issue. They're saying that there's like a problem with like like what they are saying is, yeah, it's fucked up, right? These people were born on this land, they've been working this land forever. Some dude comes from another place, like buys up all the land from like the one or couple people who owned it before, right? And then from there, like they hire Mexicans at like a low wage to produce the crops, and then most of that profit that's generated by producing the crops doesn't even go back to Mexico, right? Because the whole point is that like most of that profit's supposed to, well, all the profit is stolen anyway, right? And if the people who are owning like the avocado groweries, I don't know what they're called, whatever. If the people who own those aren't like putting that money back into the Mexican economy outside of just paying like low wages, then they're saying that there's something unjust happening there, which I'm sympathetic towards, and you can say like so I'm gonna say like, okay, maybe you can say that, but again, like they're not offering any kind of solution on how to deal with that outside of like
What
overthrow
do you mean?
capitalism.
Capitalism.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like that's all they're offering, and then you ask them how to do that, and they just can't tell you. And then you ask them, yeah, it's weird, and then you also just go, well, are there other ways to deal with this without overthrowing capitalism? And they also can't answer you a lot of the time either.
Because
Well, at least that's what I find to be the case. But yeah, let me see. I mean, yeah, that's that's pretty much all I have to say there, right? Like, it's true. Like, I don't even want to say it's true. I want to say I'm sympathetic to like some of the bigger problems that they're pointing out here when it comes to just like like production and consumption, right? Like, I'm sympathetic to some of those problems, but unless they're going to offer solutions, right, then I'm not even sure what's the point of invoking these topics in a conversation about veganism, right?
Another
Like, to
thing we
say
should
that
point
there's
out. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Finish up.
no, go ahead.
Well, another thing we should point out too is it's also not clear that fuck, I completely forgot what I was going to say. I'll remember. Keep going.
So,
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Like, while some of the things that they're talking about, like, you know, might very well be issues, because I guess it like depends on like, you know, what your ethical framework is or whatever, right? But while me personally, I'm sympathetic to like some of the you know, conversations that need to be had about property and whatnot. Like, while I
I
am
remember.
sympathetic to those,
I
I
remember
just
what I was
don't.
going to say.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's cool. It's just, yeah, that's pretty much it. While I'm sympathetic to the bigger issues, I just don't think that they're doing anything to meaningfully address them. They're just invoking them to like dismiss like veganism as a concept, right? Like, that's it. That's all
Yeah.
they're doing here. Just like when they brought it up earlier, when they were talking about like buying locally and, you know, and work,
Yeah.
and, you know, yeah, it's like, dude, like the vast majority of like lefties in general are not buying locally for workers' rights. And then that also just begs a conversation on, well, okay, like buy locally, but like using like their rhetoric, it'd be like, okay, but if you're buying locally, you're essentially like uplifting like a privileged class of people that lives in the US that's like that has the benefit of being able to have these like rights and wages, where like, and then you're taking that money away from another place, where, you know, people desperately need jobs and, you know, are like often living in poverty, and then you're trying to say they can't have that either, when it's like often something that they want to do. And when I say want to do, I don't mean that they're not like ultimately coerced into it by, you know, just luck of the draw. That's not what I'm saying either. I'm saying that like I can guarantee you they'd rather have a job than no job,
even if that job kind of sucks.
yeah. And unless like somehow like all the lefties who are talking about this, or the ones who are writing this article, right, or related articles, are like literally like, unless they have their hands in the biggest projects in the world that are just like fucking like replacing these jobs in these places, right? Which they're not, by the way, right? They're not, right? Then I just don't know. Like, the only reason I could think of to bring these kind of things up, right, if I'm being extremely charitable, would be to educate people on like other business or just other practices that they might not agree with. But then if I'm not being overly charitable, right, I would just say it's in bad faith to use it as like it's like a throwaway statement to like get people to not care about veganism.
So the one thing I'd say here is so I think like avocados and quinoa were mentioned. So even if we grant that purchasing these products, perpetuates this exploitative system,
Vegans don't have to buy those products, and as a matter of fact, most of the people buying those products aren't vegans.
That's the other point. Like that's one, true, vegans don't have to buy the products, and two, like it's not clear to me that vegans are actually disproportionately buying these products. I mean, if they have evidence for that, that's fine. But then, so not only are carnists also purchasing these products, they're also funding the exploitation of workers in factory farms, many of whom are people of color and undocumented immigrants. Many of whom are treated really poorly. I know, like some companies like Smithfield will like occasionally call like ICE and have like a raid after hiring all of these people. So like they'll
Right,
hire
because then
all
they
these
won't have to
people
pay them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, So unless you want to say that like vegans are like just buying these products at like such a massively disproportionately higher rate, then I'm just not sure like what the problem is here. Because
no, that's exactly correct, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it just crazy, right? Oh, by the way, and if you want to, right, I can actually send you a paper regarding regarding slaughterhouse workers and PTSD.
Oh, please do.
That'd be a great read, actually.
Yeah, I'm building up my. I'm trying to build up my like research documents or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll get you that in a bit. But yeah, so I mean,
And anybody
again,
else have anything to say about this then?
No, it looks like Joy is the right man for the job, I suppose.
So
well, no, but I just wanted to say it's
sorry.
really funny how like they're just wrong on like every single
single-
level. Like
I know.
everything they say is just so
It's
besides the
Fractal
point.
wrongness.
Red, what did you say? This was supposed to be like a 4-minute read, and we've been here for like an hour.
Yeah, we've been here for about an hour and 20 minutes by now, I
Holy
think.
shit!
Hey man, and we're only done with the first section. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think about 8 more paragraphs.
Oh fuck, we may have to have a part 2 on
Dude,
this.
you guys want to do another paragraph, or you guys?
Yeah. Keep going for now, but I'm not sure if we'll get through this whole thing.
Joy, you ready? Near?
I'm ready.
All right. Near? I think he's muted. All right, I'm gonna
Yeah,
continue.
I'm sure he's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. This is another section. Another crucial matter that is overlooked surrounding the war on animal consumption is that, as mentioned, the phenomenon of industrializing meat and food in general is a deeply colonial story. That's
okay.
Do you have anything to say?
All right. No.
I think we should read the whole paragraph so we understand the context of everything
I'm
they're saying.
open to the argument.
In fact, industrial farming, as we know it today, did not begin to emerge until in the 1960s in where else? The U.S. I didn't add that. That's what he says. That is also when farms began to increase in size and decrease in number. Sean Mackenzie, A Brief History of Agriculture and Food Production, The Rise of Industrial Agriculture, 2007. This source. Settler colonialism and colonizers and establishment of corporate capitalism was and is the precursor of unethical farming methods. All right, so let me know if you need me to reread anything.
So they're just saying like capitalism is settler colonialism, and the rise of like the factory farm is indicative of that, or indicative of settler colonialism or whatever.
Want me to reread it?
I mean,
sure.
To me, this is dumb, right? It just sounds like they're saying like, "Oh yeah, well, you know who started this?
Yeah.
The colonizers, and then what? So we're not supposed to do anything about it? The fuck?
Yeah, like I'm not sure what the, because like all of us participate in capitalism. Like the argument that vegans are using is like we should minimize the harm.
I think it's like an appeal to tradition fallacy. I mean, I mentioned this before, for like just because it was bad in the past, therefore it's bad now.
Actually, I think I understand what they're saying. They're trying to say that vegans should focus on this element more, which maybe anyways, whatever. I'm open to hearing the argument.
But I'm not sure how they want to, but I suppose they're going to tell us.
Yeah, can continue.
Joy, you have anything to say?
Read it again for me.
I'll read the whole paragraph. Another crucial matter that is overlooked surrounding the war on animal consumption is that, as mentioned, the phenomenon of industrializing meat and food in general is a deeply colonial story. In fact, industrial farming, as we know it today, did not begin to emerge until the 1960s in, where else? The U.S. That is also when farms began to increase in size and decrease in number. That's the source. Settler colonialism and colonizers' establishment of corporate capitalism was and is the precursor of unethical farming methods.
Okay, so I think they're just saying that like the way we currently produce food is
right.
settler colonialism.
Yeah, Fish is right. If anything, they're just saying that like it's like they said at the beginning, right? It's just something that's often overlooked. So at worst, this isn't even really. Well, I guess you gotta remember what they're saying ultimately, right? Because they're talking about. Oh yeah. Okay, wait. So
you're saying that vegans should care about this more, or that we should incorporate this more.
Actually, no. Well, yes, but what they're actually saying is this is a problem for white vegans. So because remember,
which
like
they
the
still
underlying
haven't defined.
Well, right. Well, actually, I think I can tell you what it means. Because you know what white feminism is?
I've never.
Not really. I've heard that term a lot. I don't. I use.
Is that kind of like
the general idea is kind of like imagine a feminism that's like really non-intersectional, and it's typically espoused by white women more than like non-white women because it's non-intersectional. So white women don't have like the frame of reference to like understand how a lot of these issues cross over with each other.
So is white veganism just non-intersectional veganism?
Yeah,
because that's
what it sounds like.
Okay, but now that's bizarre to me because I would consider myself to be like an intersectional feminist. So I'm not sure.
So the thing is like not every feminist who's white is a white feminist.
But the point I'm trying to make is I think there's got to be this weird like Mott and Bailey thing there, or this bait and switch thing that they're doing because I guarantee, like, for a lot of these people, I could kind of tell them my views on veganism, and they would call me a white vegan, even though I am an intersectional feminist, or or at least I think it's a pretty
No,
good.
I don't think they would call you a white vegan actually.
No.
I think if you were to speak to some of these people, like they would only determine that you're a white vegan if like your stance on veganism has like literally will never take anything else into account other than boycotting animal products and doing nothing more, I guess.
Wouldn't a better
Or not acknowledging like what kind of things are in play that like has carnism being perpetuated.
Okay,
Also has to do
wouldn't a
with,
better term than quote unquote white feminism or white veganism be first world feminism and first world?
I mean, it would be, but I mean, all I'm trying to do is clarify what they mean. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish they would stop using. It's like they take white people and they kind of hold them hostage with these really loaded terms, and like they just like they're like saying, "Oh, this is what all white people do" and stuff like that, and they're like, I don't know, it's just really
Yeah,
confusing.
like it
I wish they
clearly
would
has
just
like
use
a
different.
psychological effect when you hear veganism, white veganism, right? Like as opposed to like non-intersectional or first world, right?
Yes.
Like where the other ones are like clearly like not only are they like more indicative of what they're actually talking about, but like they don't carry this like weird psychological connotation that would make it so that like it's like like you associate it with white people in particular.
Yeah, I
Bad
just wish
behavior
these
or whatnot.
people would like. There's no reason to fucking make it about race. Like, just say that.
Like they're just trying to shoehorn it in for their own ends and egos, you know.
No. Well, to be fair, so the reason they do that, right, is because veganism in the U.S. is like in the U.S. it's like largely, or at least historically, has been like a largely, like white middle class woman kind of thing. So like, so people who generally like would call themselves vegan typically would fit into that category. So it has like a history of like, of having like people who, when talking about like just issues in politics in general, like they're so focused on the animals, right? Because it's historically been the same group of people that like
See,
they're really like unaware of all the other
just
stuff that's going on.
but I don't think that's true though, because like women, yes, women are disproportionately vegan, but in the U.S. at least, so there's a recent Gallup poll from 2 years ago, I think, that found no statistically significant correlation between veganism and income. So I'm not sure that
Oh,
the idea that it's like middle
well, I
class
mean,
really
no,
borne out.
I said historically because you have to remember also, like a lot of the products that we have that make it like a lot more accessible to be like, make
Like the
veganism like a lot more
muffins.
accessible just didn't exist a while back.
Maybe.
It's literally
Yeah.
just okay. So
How
And
long
when
has
they did, it was
veganism
more
been
people
around?
are
accessible.
these people
Okay.
are presumably against stereotypes, right?
I mean, how long has veganism been around though? Like,
Well, it's been around for
Oh.
hundreds of
It's been
years.
around a long time.
okay, well,
Yeah.
in the
So
U.S.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. As a matter of fact, the term vegan was actually coined in the U.S. by the Vegan Society.
yeah, it was coined in like
Yeah, but
1944, I think.
yeah, but that's okay. Well, when you say a long time, that doesn't seem like a very long time. But okay,
Were you
never
Well, I
mind.
going
mean,
for
the U.S. has only
vegetarianism
been
or
around for like
veganism?
300 or so years. I'm not sure what you mean. I guess, yeah.
Okay, never mind. So yeah, that's okay. Yeah, maybe
Anything
it's
else?
possible that historically this was a very like middle class thing, but
I mean, because yeah, if that's in the 40s, that's almost 80 years. But yeah,
okay, I just want to say that these
but
people.
man, I'm not even sure that that's true either though, because I know as a country gets more industrialized, people tend to consume more meat. So
Usually,
but no,
because
just because. Well, yeah, but that's actually not at odds with what I was saying because you can have increased demand for two things at the same time. Yeah, the world doesn't see things as like carnivore products versus vegan products. Only vegans see it that way.
that's true, I suppose. Yeah.
Near, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I just kept saying that presumably these people are against stereotypes, right?
Sure.
So why the fuck do they have a term basically coined off of a stereotype?
Which one?
That it's usually white, middle-aged women that are vegan.
Well, to be fair,
No.
it is usually.
It's not that it's usually the case. It's more that like the growth of veganism in general, or like the history of it, has typically been like rooted in like I guess like white middle class women.
Those demographics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So and because of that, I think that there's like a lot of blind spots that many vegans have because many vegans fit into that category.
sure, that could be the case.
I'm honestly, I'm sure you can hear how upset I am by this article. I'm
I
just
thought
trying
you
to
were
be
just
as
quiet
charitable
because like you had
as possible.
someone yelled at you for raising your voice.
No. I'm in my kitchen now, like making some lentil and vegetable soup, and no, I just don't want to be loud like in my kitchen with the roommates and stuff out here.
That's fair.
I was actually gonna say something, but I completely forgot now, so I guess we'll move on. Oh yeah,
Sorry.
I skimmed ahead into the next paragraph. I'm not sure if you did the Joy, but like I think this is really gonna get what you were talking about with capitalism. All right, so I'm gonna read it now. Ready?
Oh, here we go.
All right. Fast food corporations frequently give the argument of overpopulation and the need to feed masses.
Wait, fast food corporations?
Apparently.
Show me a single fucking fast food corporation that's talking about population ethics. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you serious?
Let me
Wait, hold on.
finish.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should probably get through because what seems to happen is like if we pick it apart sentence by sentence, like we miss.
We're gonna be
Yeah,
here
I'm
all
sorry.
day.
I'm sorry. That was
yeah,
just
and
the
I think there's a
stupidest
reason that
fucking
they
thing I've ever heard in
group
my
it up into
entire life.
paragraphs like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So fast food corporations frequently give the argument of overpopulation and the need to feed masses quickly and cheaply. Hugely problematic take on human life, but a story for another day. Overpopulation is but a symptom of an underlying problem. Overpopulation was and is not a natural phenomenon, despite what history books and mainstream media would have us believe. Mass migration, urbanization, and the supposed need for fast food came as an immediate result of capitalism and the colonization of places such as South Asia and the American and African continents. It is worth examining the root of the problem, rather than solely treating the symptoms, if at all.
I have no idea what that has to do with veganism.
Well, no, because what they're telling you, right, is that there are all these problems. Well, yeah, that's true, right? Like that they literally just talked about fast food and overpopulation and like unethical food product. Oh yeah, no, that's why. So what they're saying is that like fast food places who are often, engaged in animal agriculture or they're saying that some of the reasons, one thing they use to justify like their factory farms, because by factory farm what we really mean is like hyper efficient farms. And the efficiency, the cost of the ethical part. Yeah. So what they're saying is that the animal ag industry often justifies, which is dumb, right? Because at that point they're just talking about like the long-term suffering of the animals. They're just, I guess that's one issue that vegans care about too, but we want to abolish it, not just animal welfareism. So what they're saying is that animal ag says that this is why they do it. They have to cut corners because there's overpopulation and because we need to feed people affordably and quickly. We cut these ethical corners, right? But then the reason they have this quote unquote overpopulation problem is because capitalism.
Okay, but I don't see how that implicates veganism, though.
I actually took this to mean
no. It's not. No. What they're saying, right, is that animals get treated bad as a necessity for as a response to overpopulation. It's like a necessary response, and that because it's this necessary response, we should look at what the root of the problem is, right? Otherwise, this is just going to continue. So if you really care about animals and you want to stop the animal being tortured for maximum efficiency, then you just want to look at capitalism.
Yeah, that's just spoken like someone who doesn't know what the fuck vegan ethics are about. Because obviously,
of course they don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't be writing this article in the first place.
Obviously, vegans are opposed to like, like local farms or sustainable indigenous hunting or whatever. Obviously, that's also unjustified in a lot of cases. So.
I actually took this part to mean like the writer is trying to say that like fast food industries are trying to blame like issues like climate change and stuff like that on overpopulation. Like, it's not eating the meat that's the problem; it's the population. Because like I've seen that argument a lot, and like I think the author is trying to say that the fast food corporations are perpetuating this myth, which I don't know.
Maybe I've never heard a fast food company talk about overpopulation ever.
Yeah, me neither. but I still stand by it. I really do believe that it's them saying that like the overpopulation, well, okay, so normally when people say it's like an overpopulation is a myth, what they mean is that we actually have plenty of resources able to sustain the population.
Yeah,
but that they're just
which
not being used efficiently. So it's not that we're actually overpopulated, like we're taking up too much land per person or too many resources per person. What they're saying is like when people say that there's overpopulation, it's actually like a misnomer because it's not that we're overpopulated. It's that like we're
Not living
we're
sustainably.
managing our resources like really inefficiently, so it creates this illusion of overpopulation. So
yeah, I understand.
I actually was talking about this to Fish a few weeks ago. How like if we like of course if we want to like manage a good population, we can manage like several times the amount of people we do it now if we live sustainably, which would mean switching to nuclear energy and renewables, of course.
Yeah.
And of course
Right, but
getting off animal products,
which they never want to do.
of course.
yeah, and they're saying that like we're not doing that because of well basically because of like property rights, capital, markets, etc., or free markets, etc., whatever. They're just saying that like this is like a natural consequence of capitalism, basically. And I really think that what they're trying to do here is to say, well, all these fast food places that you vegans should hate, especially because they're some of the biggest consumers of these products. They cut all these ethical corners to meet demand. And the reason that they feel that the reason that they're because they need to meet demand, because meeting that demand is actually an ethical concern because it's a concern about feeding people.
Yeah.
And they're saying that this ethical problem only exists because capitalism exists. And what they're trying to suggest here, which of course again they're completely missing the point that vegans are arguing for, but they're saying, oh well, if you want animal welfareism, then we need to make sure resources are managed efficiently enough so that we don't have to have like factories.
Okay, but there could still be meat. Like
Yeah, just because like
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Of course, like they're missing
right.
the point. Like
Yeah.
they're missing the point. But the what they're trying to levy at vegans is like if you care about animals, this will help them. Like so it's always like really like I hate how like pointed and deceptive it is when like a lefty writes a response to like like a negative response to like veganism in general, because it's always the same thing. Like it's always like I'm not going to provide any solutions, but look over here. Look at all these problems, guys. Like a lefty's goal isn't actually to like help
Solve
veganism or help, or it's not to help veganism. It's not to help the vegan. It's literally always to make the vegan every time.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, to make the vegan what? You cut out.
Make the vegan a communist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Fish, like
they're not interested in actually engaging on the topic of veganism, because if they were, they wouldn't have. Like this
Yeah,
is
Vosh was like,
their ideology.
Vosh was
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is.
let's be allies. Let's be
Oh,
allies.
we're turning this into another Vosh dunking hour. Yeah.
Do we
Hell
have
yeah.
to?
Oh wait, no. I just want to say this real quick, and then we can get back on topic. But like, yeah, Vosh was like, let's be allies. Vegans.
No, I said that to Richard, but yeah, whatever. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I thought it was Isaac. Yeah, we can work together. We can work for each other's goals. But then Vosh wouldn't go vegan. Like he was literally just trying to make Richard a communist.
It is very funny because Vosh at one point said like, oh, there's a historical coalition between like lefties and vegans. It's like, well, really? Because like most vegans are lefties, but most lefties are not vegan. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Well, that's really sad. If Vosh said that only makes me hate him more.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty one-sided coalition. Hey, I'm glad somebody else doesn't like Vosh. Well, I don't know, how much do you like Vosh? What are your thoughts on him? Not
me?
Make this quick, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to be kind of a fan when he was starting because I was happy that there was like a leftist debate bro YouTuber, because that's really what I wanted in my life, because I felt like the world needs that right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought, right? Because I was like really sympathetic to like communism and stuff.
Yep.
So like I felt like the left was really failing when it comes to like media platforms. Like they're doing a really bad job of holding their own.
I still
maybe
think that.
in some private conversations, like some people might be able to be convinced, but in general, like they don't really have like the right has tons of people who are like debate me right now. Like let's fucking do it. And like lefties have very few of those people. most of their like videos are responses, and then they just get torn down pretty easily, and a lot of them just don't know how to debate. So like when I saw that there was this guy who not only was doing the lefty thing, but he was coming from Destiny and challenging Destiny on it, I was really happy. Like there's a lot of things he says that are right, but if I'm being real with you, I think he's really lazy, and he's also a lazy thinker.
Dude, this is music to my ears. I'm so glad somebody else finally fucking sees it. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. Not that everybody should have to read the literature, but he hasn't. He never will. He blames it on his ADHD, even though he has like, dude, he doesn't have a regular job. He has hella free time. He literally like, I don't even see the excuse. He'd just rather be playing video games like forever. Like, so like he doesn't even want to get educated enough on the topics that he's supposed to be talking about.
I could go on about this literally all day. I have so many problems with like him and Xander Hall and all these other like kind of like debate lefties.
Oh yeah, did you see that video with Xander Hall and Ask Yourself recently?
Sure did.
Oh my god, Xander Hall got annihilated. Oh my god.
My god.
The ones that got Isaac to talk to Xander Hall. Yeah, Xander
Yeah,
Hall.
that's right. Yeah, Near and I were the ones who actually set that up.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They made Isaac aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, Xander Hall. That was just a brutal conversation.
This is my big takeaway of the debate, bros. They always appeal to like facts and logic and philosophy. I think they honestly don't actually care about these things as a means to derive the truth. I think they just care about these as like aesthetics. Like it looks aesthetically good to like
make
appeal
themselves
to like
look like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it looks good to like it looks like they know what they're talking about. Because like Xander Hall, he's talking about like, yeah, I'm a consequentialist, and then like Isaac presses him like a little bit,
And then he doesn't even know what it means.
Collapses. Yeah,
Did that actually happen?
Yes. Because he said.
Wait.
There's no
do y'all want to like stream watch this later?
Yeah, we can actually.
Later after we if you want to cut this short, like do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going off on a massive tangent. If you just get me started on these fucking people, I'll be here all day. So I'm sorry. Continue.
No, me too. It's really painful, especially as like a lefty who's vegan. Like it's
I hate it so much.
Bad.
Oh my god.
You want to make the call now? You want to wrap it? I want to just post finish up this paragraph for now. Pick up tomorrow. Then we could make.
How many more paragraphs do we have?
About 5, I think.
How many have we read through?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
I mean, I wanted to say one more thing. I mean, about this paragraph. I was talking.
We can do a part 2 on this, by the way. I didn't realize this was going to go so
I just want to make one more closing statement about because I was talking Fish. I was talking to before the others joined about how I told you about that meme I saw 100 oil companies are responsible for 70% of the emissions, and you say I should reduce my carbon footprint. Don't even get me started on it because I'm gonna be very quick because if I had a nickel for every minute I spent on complaining about this type of thinking, I'd have a good amount of money, but
yeah,
it's trying to take blame away from yourself and try to project it onto the companies, and don't get me wrong.
Which I'm okay with, but I'm okay with the latter half of that, but I'm not okay with you absolving yourself of any responsibility.
Yeah, you're the ones who eat meat, you're the one who consume from these companies. I mean, you do have a minimum standard of living that I think everyone should be should have a right to, which should be air conditioning and showering and shit like that. But eating meat is not necessary, and a lot of these people making these arguments, I'm pretty sure they're not vegan or even vegetarian. If they were, then okay, maybe they have a point, but still, I don't think it's right to project that blame onto the companies instead of onto yourself, which you do share responsibility in this capitalist society. But I'm not going to get too much into that. We'll be here for
yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, and the thing that
Fish.
So, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I thought I wasn't coming in for a sec. What annoys me a lot too is I feel oh man, this is just kind of some of this is just speculation, but I feel even if you were to say okay, lefty, here's a button, and we're gonna push it, and all of the pollution from all these companies is gonna end, but all of these luxuries you have to give up, or a bunch of these Wait, did somebody just leave or join?
Yeah,
FIFA. But you have to give up eating meat, and you have to give up all these single-use plastics and blah 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 blah. Are you going to do that? I feel like they wouldn't push the button. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else?
I'm not sure if you've ever seen this, but I also see these memes that like the workers have to take over like the animal these animal agriculture. I'm like, what the fuck is that gonna do? Like, it's not gonna.
Oh, that annoys me too, because like what the
you take over like oil companies, like the workers take over oil companies or like or factory farms. They're not going away, dude.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just
look. As much as I like worker co-ops and as much as I support them, like it's not like a fucking like
the be-all
magic. Well, it's not a magic like fixed climate change. This is the thing that annoys me about. They view like ending capitalism as
like the best thing ever,
solution to everything. Yeah.
Well, if we're being charitable, right? Like what they mean is that if they were worker co-ops, right, then we wouldn't really have to worry about like about this ethical problem, all right? Like these top-down decisions that are made by people who don't get to choose their wages or have any stake in their business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that part I agree with, but why would it be an issue to climate change?
Oh no! I agree. I'm only talking about like the workers' rights aspect of it. The problem is, right? You just go, all right. Well, what can I do? What can I do? Right? What can I do to make that happen? And they're just gonna say, oh, it's literally it's self-defeating, right? Because they're gonna say
revolution.
Well,
yeah.
No. Yes, but what they're gonna say you should do in the meantime is just advocate for it, right? And like talk
not
to
do
people.
anything about it. Fuck practice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's doing something, but not in the same way that just like choosing another product or something, right? Because you don't even have to talk about veganism. You just like not buy like the vegan product. But all they would say is like be a communist. Like okay, so then what happens is you go okay, so what if you're a lefty and you're a communist? Now what?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you should be vegan then.
Oh, I know. That Destiny has talked about this a lot. How there's never like, okay, so how do we actually get to like socialism? They never have any. There's never any answer to it.
Like it's either reform or revolution, But like it's not clear like what they want to do in either way,
But the thing you were talking about, Red, like I like co-ops. I think they would be better. It seems like I haven't done a ton of deep research into this, but the little I've seen, it seems like they're better when it comes to like income inequality and things like that. But like I don't see how it would be the solution to climate change.
Yeah.
How, like the people who work at no.
I mean, unless like the people were educated, like if everyone like supported, like people supported nuclear energy, and like the workers actually worked to replace oil companies with that.
No. Even then, I'm not convinced. Even then, I'm not convinced though, because you can have educated people like I think lefties like to talk about this a lot too. I think like when people like ExxonMobil found like evidence of like climate change, they neglected to like not make it public, or so they neglected to make it public. Like why wouldn't people like? And obviously they were smart. They understood what was happening. Why wouldn't co-op workers do the same thing?
Yeah,
their jobs are at stake, dude. Like you work at a fucking oil company, it turns out oil is bad for the environment. You're not going to go public with that shit.
Yeah,
you want to keep your job.
Yeah. So what they would probably say is co-op is part of the process or something in going towards communism, where with the communism we would account more for the negative externalities as it wouldn't be anyone's livelihood on the line. So like they would say co-ops now for workers' rights and communism end goal for environment.
Okay, but there's no fucking way we're getting all the way to communism in time to solve climate change.
Yeah,
well, not only that, right? But the bigger problem, the more pressing issue is there's nothing about the way they're going to tell you to advocate for communism that's going to be at odds with your vegan consumptive habits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm to be clear, I'm kind of off veganism at this point because we're just kind of talking about like I was just talking about like how because Red brought up the thing about how like capitalism is the problem with climate change, and we kind of segued into this, but I agree, but you're right. That's the other thing too, like these other things, because normally like a lot of lefties will dismiss this like effective altruism or veganism or all these things, like these don't actually solve the problem. They're just the only way to really solve the problem is to end capitalism. But obviously you can, even if we charitably grant that, which I absolutely don't. I don't think capitalism is this one size fits all, ending capitalism is this one size fits all solution to everything. But even if we charitably grant that, like, yeah, you're right. There's nothing that doesn't preclude, like, advocating for the end of capitalism does not preclude you from being a vegan or an effective altruist or anything like that. So I just don't know why that would be.
Oh, it's actually bad, right? Because if anyone who has like half a brain is reading this article, at least half a brain, right? Like you get to the end and then you just go, okay, cool,
That
okay,
was-
so
Yeah.
you can acknowledge all of these things and still be vegan. It's almost like all they're doing is trying to get vegans to acknowledge that there are other problems,
Yeah, they try to guilt
and
trip.
that's
Yeah.
fine. But if this article wasn't written by a vegan, then I'm just gonna have to say it was written in bad faith.
I can't even tell if that's the thing.
Yeah.